Have you ever faced a storm so big it felt like the end of the world? A storm that didn't just threaten your home, but your very faith. Today, we're diving into a story that will shake you to your core and maybe, just maybe, rebuild your understanding of what it means to trust. This is the story of Hurricane Dona and a man whose promise from God was his only anchor. It was 1967. The Caribbean was bracing for what would become one of the most ferocious hurricanes of the century. Hurricane Dona. Winds howled at over 175 miles per hour, turning paradise into a battlefield. Trees were torn from the ground like weeds, homes were flattened, and the sea rose in a furious rage. For most, the instinct was to run, to evacuate, to find any shelter that could withstand the onslaught. But for one man, a man already bound by physical limitations, the storm wasn't just a natural disaster. It was a spiritual crucible. Let's call him Simon. Simon was a devout man, known in his small island community for his unshakable faith. But Simon was also crippled, unable to walk without great difficulty. When the evacuation orders came, a wave of panic swept through his community. Neighbors and friends pleaded with him. "Simon, you must leave. The storm will take everything." They offered to carry him, to help him get to the designated shelters on higher ground. It was the logical thing to do, the only sensible choice in the face of such destructive power. But Simon calmly refused. He smiled gently at their frantic faces and said, "Thank you, my friends, but I cannot go. I must stay." His refusal wasn't born of stubbornness or a death wish. It was rooted in something far deeper. He told them years ago, "I made a promise to the Lord, and he made a promise to me. I told him that this house, this small piece of land, would be dedicated to his work. And in return, Christ promised me that he would always protect it." You can imagine the reaction. Disbelief, fear, even anger. They thought he was mad. To them, staying behind was an act of suicide, a foolish defiance of nature's fury. As the first winds began to tear at the shutters and the rain fell in blinding sheets, his neighbors made their final pleas before fleeing for their own lives. Soon, Simon was alone, the roar of the hurricane his only companion. The world outside his small home was being ripped apart. The noise was deafening, a constant, terrifying scream of wind and crashing waves. The very foundations of his house trembled. Inside, Simon wasn't panicking. He wasn't trying to board up windows or pile sandbags. He was seated on his wheelchair praying. He wasn't praying for his life, or for the storm to stop. He was simply talking to God, reminding him of their covenant. "Lord," he prayed, "you know this house is yours. You promised me you would protect it. I am holding you to your word. I trust in your promise." It was a conversation of pure, unadulterated faith. He wasn't bargaining. He was resting in a promise he believed to be unbreakable. As the storm reached its peak, the eye of the hurricane passed directly over his island. An eerie, temporary calm descended. But Simon knew the worst was yet to come the other side of the storm, often more violent than the first. Still, he remained in prayer, his spirit steadfast. The second wave of the hurricane hit with renewed vengeance, unleashing its final, most destructive burst of energy. For hours, the island was battered relentlessly. When dawn finally broke, the silence was almost as shocking as the noise had been. The survivors began to emerge from the shelters, their hearts heavy, expecting to see total devastation, and they did. Their community was gone. Homes were reduced to splinters. Familiar landmarks had vanished. The landscape was a wasteland of debris and sorrow. As they walked through the wreckage, a sense of hopelessness washed over them. But then, they saw it. Amidst the complete and utter destruction, one structure remained. It was a small, simple house, standing perfectly intact. Not a single shingle was missing from its roof. Not a window was broken. It stood as a silent, impossible monument in a field of ruin. It was Simon's house. Cautiously fearing the worst, his neighbors approached. They pushed open the door, and there he was, Simon, still on his wheelchair praying, deep in prayer, thanking God for his faithfulness. He looked up, his face serene, and greeted them with a simple, "He is faithful." The people were speechless. They had witnessed a miracle. The very forces that had obliterated their own homes, stronger and better built homes, had left Simon's untouched. There was no logical or scientific explanation. The storm had not somehow missed this one tiny spot. It had passed directly over it. The only explanation was the one Simon had clung to all along. A promise from God. This story isn't just about a hurricane. It's about the storms we all face in our lives. The financial storms, the health crises, the relationship breakdowns. These are the moments when our faith is truly tested. It's easy to believe when the sun is shining, but can we trust when the winds are howling and everything around us is falling apart? Simon's story teaches us that faith isn't a shield that prevents storms from coming. Faith is the anchor that holds us secure in the storm. It's about having a conviction so deep that you can look at the impossible and say, "My God is bigger." It challenges us to ask ourselves, what promises from God are we standing on? Do we believe them enough to stake our very lives on them? Simon dedicated his home to God, and in return he received a promise of protection. He held on to that promise with a grip that the most powerful hurricane on earth could not break. His physical weakness was overshadowed by his spiritual strength. He couldn't run from the storm, so he ran to his Savior. The story of Simon and Hurricane Dona became a legend on that island, a powerful testimony passed down through generations. It's a reminder that sometimes the safest place to be is not in the strongest shelter, but in the center of God's will, holding fast to His promises. It's a call to build our lives on the rock of His word so that when the rains come down and the streams rise and the winds blow and beat against our house, it will not fall because it has its foundation on the rock. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this incredible story of faith with me. If it touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content that inspires and uplifts. What's the biggest storm you've ever faced, and how did your faith see you through? Share your story in the comments below. Let's encourage one another. Until next time, stay blessed and hold fast to His promises.